Um, let's see. Ooh. My computer just said Twitch is unreachable because I have no internet, but it also at the same time tells me that I'm streaming, and OBS says I have a really great frame rate. So, Noob the Legend. I gotta say, I'm enjoying the screen names. Can you all hear me? Oh, yes, good. Why not playing Civ 6? Because I have Civ 5. Ugh. Um, I I don't buy every single new Civ that comes out because I generally don't find them uh, to be that different, I guess. So I'm just Sao Shang Hao. It's like 2:30 p.m. here. Although maybe not where you are. Is it in the middle of the morning where you are? Xiao Hao. That's better. Ooh. Um, yeah, I don't know. Also, um, for the sake of this class, it doesn't actually matter um, it doesn't matter what Civ I use. I mean, your reading was about Civ 3. I just realized I have hot coffee directly on my nice desk. Let's fix that. So I don't play Civ a lot, which is, it is in fact a comment on the game, and that is that I find it extremely engaging. So I will not play it during the school year unless I am doing it for class, as I am right now, because I want to keep my job. So there we have it. All right, well, let's get going. So you had 2 readings for today.
Eternal glory and praise for you,
Cool.
fierce and vengeful warrior queen. In a
Gave me the
time
Celts.
dominated by men, you not only secured your throne and sovereign rule, but
I mean, I'm not
also
going to make
successfully
victory during
defied
class,
the power of the Roman Empire. After suffering terrible punishment and humiliation at the hand of the Roman invaders.
Yeah, so we had 2 readings today. We had fiction is just as important in fact in learning history, and then also games in classrooms, role-playing history.
This is a good place to found a city. Food and resources are plentiful here. Press your Settlers Found City button.
Okay, thank you.
Consider sending your warrior out to explore new territory.
She is so asleep. You probably can't see it because she's black laying on a gray thing, but she actually has her paw over her eyes to cover the light. Does anyone know what's wrong with the Lecture 4 assignment? Is it past due already? I know what's wrong with it. I accidentally said it for Sunday, and that was an accident. So just ignore it. Just turn it in today. I mean, Canvas is going to tell you that it's late, but it's not. All right. I am not trying to fail everyone. Oh my God, I don't want people to fail. I want people to pass. I want you to like learn some things and then pass. All right, so thank you. Go away. I am all tangled in my cords. Free Civ doesn't have a tutorial. I mean, you get what you pay for. So here's the thing. I Um, Free Civ is fine. I tried playing it because I tried playing everything before I assign it. But it was the best thing that I could come across to use because I very specifically don't want to assign y'all games that you have to pay for. So sometimes, you know, you get what you get. Oh, she's moving around, isn't she? All right. So yeah. We'll, yes, the unit. So I want to found Edinburgh. Nice. I've been there. It was a beautiful, beautiful city. I don't know why I put that in the past tense. Well, because for me it was past tense. It is a beautiful, beautiful city.
I have some information that may be of use.
Wait, the cat's name is Streaker. I don't know what the white puppy refers to, but let's make a scout. I feel like that's a good idea. Streaker is being a good cat today. She was a bad cat yesterday. She bit me during a meeting. All right, and choose a research. What do we want to do?
Excuse me.
Let's open the technology tree. In part because I kind of want to talk about this right now, right? So these are not random, right? So this tells you something about how the designers understand history and what types of things led to other types of things, right? Because that's literally what this suggests. This suggests that if you focus on something like pottery, that's also going to give you a granary and a shrine. So in farming communities, they're saying, you know, religion was an important thing. And then apparently they're saying that this agricultural progress type tree is what's going to lead to these things: calendar, writing, and sailing, right? Same here. If you're into animals, you're going to kill animals, you're going to do these things, right? I keep wanting to pull it this way, but it's down here. I've never made it to here. Someday. So when you're playing games like Civ, or even Sims 4, if you want to really nerd out about it, pay attention to what leads to what, how you advance, because it says something about how the designer sees the world. So what do we want to do? Do we want to do, let's just do pottery, because honestly, it doesn't matter. Close. So, wait, why do they need orders? They are...
Excuse me.
Okay, now obviously, even though there are actually a lot of realistic things in this game, some of which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but what I want to cover first is fiction is just as important as fact in learning history, since that one doesn't actually focus on Civ specifically. Oh, that's probably all I can do, yeah, until I get that settler or the scout built. So the cat's only going to stay on the screen if she is not disruptive, which so far she's being a little disruptive. So there's a couple of things, there's two things I want to ask about this article. And let's start with Um, let's start with the why are we doing this, and then we'll move into how. And the why I'm going to ask is, why do we teach history? Why do we bother to teach history? And don't tell me because if you don't know history, you are doomed to repeat the past. You have to tell me something more than that, more than just a quip, right? Because a lot of people have just memorized that phrase. But what does that phrase mean? Wait, what's... Oh, right, because 2 turns. Yeah, this is for credit. Yep, okay, so the problem, Frozen, is you're correct, but I literally just said I need more than that. Because when I say without history you are doomed to repeat the past, it's kind of the same thing, right? Yes, we have to learn from past mistakes in order to improve going forward, but that's really not the only thing history is good for. And also, we teach history in school, and yet we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So people say that, but people aren't very good at, like, following that. Ugh, I always forget to turn the light on. Ooh, cows. Like, you can't understand the Black Lives Matters movement if you don't know the steps that came from it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, at the end of the day, we can't understand, I almost said stand. We can't understand each other if we don't understand history. All right, let me see if I can essentially pause chat for a second. Come on, there we go. um, so yeah, if you have no understanding, let's go with Black Lives Matter since that is very pertinent to right now. But without understanding history, you truly can't understand that movement, right? And this is why you also have people coming back and saying, oh, blue lives matter. And it's like, there are no blue lives. It's a choice. But the fact that we're having all of these problems with, I should probably check the city, hey, is because of
The
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 city
systemic
screen
racism,
provides a
right? That is a
detailed
part of
view
our
of your
culture, which
city's growth
leads
and
people into seeing
production.
other people in certain ways. And this is all known because history. When people say things like Blue Lives Matter, they are utterly ignoring the entire history of racism against African Americans and acting as if current day anti-police sentiment has a deep history. I am not saying that anti-police sentiment in and of itself is new, but it is categorically different than what we are talking about when it comes to Black Lives Matter. Okay. Cool. Oh. Oh, I don't have gold. I'm not buying anything. What do I have? I have 2 citizens. Isn't there a way I could like take my citizen out and then just make another city? Isn't that how that works? Excuse me? Did you need attention? Okay. Oh, liquid osmium. That is a fantastic question, right? So we get into here and I can buy a tile, right? I can buy a piece of land, but who am I buying it from? In the case of Civ, nobody, right? Civ does not um, suggest that in any way, shape, or form is this land um, occupied at this time.
Our capital city has finished building a unit.
So a lot of people are really still kind of on this idea. Oh, fuck. What is wrong with you? Cats are supposed to have balance. She almost fell off the desk and I just caught her. Right, but there's other things that we lose when we don't teach history. Such as technologies and knowledges that we end up losing, right? There's a lot of things that people used to know how to do that we no longer know how to do because we literally forgot. We did not take those skills and pass them down. And so we don't know what types of things might have helped us today if we had still known how to do them, right? And this is something that we see in popular culture. If you watch any post-apocalyptic movies or literature, right?
Shall the clay say to him that fashioneth it? What
It's always the
makest
people who know how to like sew or make things from scratch or whatnot that are in high demand because they know how to live when shit breaks down. What's granary? So it's like a large building for storing food, grain. So we should probably do that. Doesn't look like we have, well, maybe a little bit of, I think we might want to do animal husbandry because we have some cattle here. Sure. Let's do it. No, let's do this guy first. Oh, great.
I have some information that may be of use.
What? Yeah, so Xpeng Zs, I also agree with that. Being able to allow not just students, right, people in general to see the big picture, it's like having hindsight, right? And now all of a sudden you understand um, uh, what effects certain decisions have, right? Which you won't know in the moment. And that's very important. I'm wonder if I can take those guys. I feel like
The
no.
enemy
I'm
unit
starting
you
to
are
feel like
near
this is an island.
fortified.
Okay, now there was one other thing that I found very important from the article about fiction. So let's cut off the question about history. And the next point in that article was that fiction is, in fact, as important. I should not have used the word fact. Fiction is as important as fact in learning history. Why? Why is the idea of historical fiction, games like this, why is this important? And while you're telling me why it's important, I am going to figure out what I am going to do with these warriors up there.
One of your
minor
combat
victory.
units is near an enemy unit.
So as I was saying, this game has a lot of fact in it. There is a lot of real cultures, real timelines, real leaders. A lot of these, all of them, actually maybe all of them are actually real people. And yet I'm not playing out actual history. Right? And yet there's so much that you can learn. Ooh.
Ancient ruins hold secrets that may advance our civilization.
So yeah, you could say it helps us appreciate other cultures, and that's a fine way to look at it. I think it does a lot more than that, though.
Thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth out the corn.
Nice. So I would like to not focus on this idea that teaching history and learning history is just for children. Because frankly, it's just as useful, if not more so, to adults who are functioning in this world and doing things like, say, voting or running for office, which children are not doing, right? So this is not about children. Yes, it can spark interest, and that's good. In fact, I have heard many people say that they oh yeah, I'm not going after them. That they started, say, researching or reading about X culture because of a book they read or a movie that they watched or whatever. In fact, much to my amusement, I watched a movie called, what was it called?
I have some information that may be of use.
All right, so I can't remember what it was called. It was this movie about the deadliest year and Mount Everest, people climbing. Um, and oh, um, and my mom, while watching this, was like, "Oh, they don't mention Sherpas at all." She's like, "I really want to know more about Sherpas," and hilariously, because I'm an anthropologist, I was like, "Oh, I have a book on Sherpas." Like, hold on. And I just went upstairs, came back down. I was like, here's a book on Sherpas. 'Cause yeah, that's how that works. Oh my gosh, they're still not dead. So historical fiction is not necessarily simplified. I mean, it can be, but I wouldn't make that assumption. Is it just called Everest? And you know what? I would imagine that there's actually probably more than one movie about that year. Into Thin Air. That also actually sounds like a name for that type of movie. Um, oh, hey.
I have some information that may be of use.
Okay, so what I'm not seeing anybody, and pardon me if somebody did say this and it scrolled too fast, but also when we read history books, often what we see is the big picture. We hear about wars, for example, right? War's a big one. And history is subjective, and that would be an excellent thing to talk about next. Uh,
City-states are small
but also,
countries that are
right,
not
think about it. If you
competing
read
to
about
win
World
the
War
game.
II,
You may
most
interact with
often
them
you hear about the
diplomatically,
leaders,
or
you
you
hear
may
about
go to
generals,
war
you
with
hear
them.
about the countries involved, you hear about, a bomb being dropped or places being invaded. But very often what history textbooks leave out is what was happening to um, the everyday people who were living through this, right? A game like This War of Mine is phenomenal for doing that, right? Because they did a bunch of research into actual urban warfare and then showed what it was like for uh,
Excuse me.
um, oh, I didn't mean
You
to do
may
that.
want to consider this.
Do you want to reconsider that? Please let me out. um,
I have some information that may be of use.
yeah. And okay, so yeah, hold on one second. Historical games of the French. Right. So the other thing that's important to know is when we focus on you know, the great men, the great women. We are only now learning about the great women, but uh, they, um, you don't necessarily see what effect it has on people, but these things do have real effects on people. When you decide to go to war with people, people die. And those are actual people with families and friends that they are leaving behind, right? Um, you know, I wonder often what the history books are going to say about the COVID pandemic 20 years from now, right? Because we have a situation where 500,000 people have died. 500,000 people in the US alone have died. And honestly, for me right now, I don't know any of those people. A friend of a friend's dad passed away, but I don't know him and I never met him. Right now, that number doesn't have a whole lot of meaning because it's a number and it's a large number, right? But if somebody comes in 20 years from now, whatever the history books are saying, makes a movie or a book or whatever that shows death during the pandemic, that is going to make the history of what's happening right now meaningful. Yes, every single number is a person. I think we're in week 4. um, oh, that's it. We're done. And fiction can really help humanize things in a way that history textbooks tend not to, because 500,000 feels so removed, right? Yes, however, if you humanize just 1 or 2 stories, right, then it helps humanize that number. Oh God, are you talking about the that lockdown movie, the COVID movie? Yes, it was in poor taste. In fact, every time it shows up, I think it's on Netflix, right? Every time it shows up in our scroll, my roommate like flips her shit. I think my guys need to chill out. They're almost dead. Um, what COVID movie? I think it's called Lockdown. It's like a COVID romance film on Netflix. I have not watched it. I'm guessing it's a romance based on like the little blurb. Um, but it's too soon. It's far too soon for that. Okay. Ooh. Oh, wow. Yes. How do I make them better?
He who commands the sea
Cities can
has
bombard
command
besiegers.
of everything.
So that is an excellent question, Sternboyo. Is a teaching tool like Civ more or less effective with underserved students? Um, and that is, I cannot say with certainty the answer to that. I personally have not uh, focused on well, I guess I have focused some. So underserved means different thing in different areas. Because a lot of times you can have something like a rural area which is underserved, just because it's so rural that it's hard to get things out there or people out there. A lot of highly rural areas have trouble getting teachers to come out there. Um, but then there's also underserved areas in the middle of cities that is because of poverty, for example. Um, uh, and that's, again, obviously um, different. So I'm pretty well protected back here. Um, so I like how you said, okay, thanks. I wasn't even like fully done. I think no, no, honey, that's just me. So she's facing the screen and she's pawing at the little spinny thing down here, like she does sometimes. Okay, good kitty. No, it's fine, Sternboyo. I mean, I guess you got most of the answer there, um, but it can, in some areas. So in the article you read for today, right, it helped because you had a bunch of kids who were not doing well in history for various reasons, and this allowed them to. Oh, bye, kitty. Um, get engaged in a different way. The kitty was saying bye. Um, it can also be very helpful, depending on what can be available. Um, that is also a very good point. So you have achievement gaps by race also. Um, and a lot of um, so a lot of past schooling has basically, when I say past, I'm talking like historically going back from like before my parents were even born, um, and has been designed to cater to white males. Okay, so if you are not a white male, that's not. Yeah, please do this right. You weren't necessarily being served because the system wasn't made for you. There are also cultural differences between African Americans and white students in how they respond to certain school situations. So, for example, there was an article about students being able to pick up body cues, for example, and they found that there was actually a racial difference here, which ended up actually affecting how the students did. Um, So the other thing I was going to go back to Sternboyo. I am sorry, I just keep going in and out of your question because we have a lot of good conversation going on here. By the way, that was an excellent question. You can get credit for that. What is my production here? A game like this can be difficult when you're talking about an underserved population because you need a computer to do this, right? Now, take for example, computers are becoming more and more pervasive in schools, but not everywhere. It was probably a little worse with the story I'm about to tell you, but when I was a kid growing up, computers were already in the schools that could afford them. I came from a poor, I came from Milwaukee, which is a highly underserved area. The people with the pointiest sticks, that's hilarious. But I knew, oh, they're angry. When I was in when I was in elementary school, it was a fairly underserved area. So even though there were a couple of computers, like in the library, we generally weren't allowed to touch them, unless we were playing like Oregon Trail or something. And I will come back to that in a second. And so then when I got to middle school, they offered 2 different computer science courses. However, in order to take one of the computer science courses, you had to basically pass a proficiency test, which I could not do. The only people that took the classes either came from richer elementary schools where they learned how to use computers, or they came from a home with a computer, i.e. they came from the richer suburbs. And so that was that. So by the time I got to high school, at which time most people had, a lot of people around me had email already, and they were typing up like, you had to turn in, we were still turning in hard copies at that time. We weren't turning in things online, but like it was expected that you typed your paper on a computer, printed it out, and brought it in. And again, I didn't have access to a computer. And so then when I got to college and I went to Madison, I was at an extreme disadvantage because I didn't know any of the basics. Like, I'm talking basics. As in, I almost failed my first math class because the teacher sent all of the sent all of the homework assignments via email, and I didn't know what email was. And it had not occurred to this professor that in that day and age, because we're talking in the 2000s now, somebody would not know what email is. I am on an island. Look at that. Okay. So what I want to do with these guys is go... so what's my point here? My point is, you asked about underserved communities. Would a game like this have helped? And in my case, the answer is no. because we were so underserved that the idea that I would have had access to a computer where I could play this was just ludicrous. And even if somebody, when I was in high school, had sat me down and said, here, play Civ, I would have had no understanding of even how to get into the game, right? Like, you cannot sit somebody down in front of a tool they've never touched before and be like, hey, use this. Now, that all may seem weird, and you may be able to say something like, oh, well, that was a long time ago, blah, blah, blah. But there are still places in the US where that's true. Right now.
We have no combat units defending our territory.
So yeah, so okay.
We have a worker, but have not improved any tiles yet. Order your worker to construct an improvement on a tile near one of your cities to gain an economic benefit.
We need more workers, I think. Um,
Made an instrument.
Thanks to your research,
Shine of
all of your
full
future
honor.
military units will possess the Embark promotion and can move across the water.
oh, Simmons. Yeah, okay. You know what? Here. I had other questions that I was going to ask about not talking, Sid Meier's Civilization. We are going to ignore them because the conversation going in chat right now is phenomenal. Y'all can get credit for these questions, and if you answer each other's questions, you can also get credit for those. So that's how you can continue to get credit in class today. But the conversations that we are having right now on race and gender and everything are just way too good. So Simran's asked, wasn't some of this dated? Yeah, some of it was dated in the way that Squire was using it. However, at the same time, I think that I think we should look beyond that. Because you also don't want a situation where you don't want to separate people by race either, right? So you don't want to have like schools with only black students, black teachers over here, and then white students and white teachers over here, right? Like that's not the way you want it, right? Which also means that somebody coming in asking, how do I connect with these kids, is a legitimate question, right? Because these kids come from somewhere different than he does. They have different histories and different cultural patterns than he does. And so he needs to learn about them in order to connect with them. And differences in culture along class lines are also real. So when we talk about people being underserved, then what we're talking about is regardless of race, also having different cultural norms because of economic reasons. Um, which is not to say that there was nothing problematic about the article, right? So I'm not trying to say that you're wrong, that you should not have felt like it was off-putting, because yes, it was, but I think we also need to understand that the intentions there, I think, were good. And as Mrs. Sage pointed out, it is from 2003, which is math. A long time ago. What, like 18 years ago? Honestly, we have come a long way in 18 years. I need to build a sailboat and get that dude on it. So the idea of falling behind research and funding, that is also a really good point. Um, because let me tell you this, and this is not something that parents and students like ever see. But there are times, okay, so my mom is a middle school teacher. And I obviously, can I build boats? Is that a thing? I don't understand how this works. Oh, I don't have money. What am I doing? Okay. So I'm gonna found a coastal city is what I'm gonna do. Okay, yeah. So back to this. So my mom is a middle school teacher, and there have been multiple times where my mom has told me about something that they're doing in her district or at her school, and yes, build a pasture. You know, and obviously I'm, you know, in the School of Ed and doing a lot of research on this, and I'll tell my mom, I was like, why are you doing it that way? Because I know my mom, and sometimes I'm like, I know she knows better, and she'll look back at me and she'll say like, this is what the parents want, or this is how much funding we have. We can't do this other thing that we all know would be better. And so there's also a lot of that where the schools fall behind the research, not because they don't know better, but because they're doing the best with what they have. Yeah, school board politics are, oh, no. I need to get rid of those enemies. Oh, really? Interesting. Do you think that last year when we went completely online and everyone transitioned from in-person class to online affected each student as much as some kids who don't learn well in certain learning environments? Each student as much as some kids who don't learn well in certain environments. Okay, so I find this wording a little weird, but I'm going to try to answer. And there's a lot of crap going on in the news about how, you know, oh, all the students are falling behind and it's horrible and blah, 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 blah. And I would be very careful about listening to any of that. Oh, God. Because it's going to affect different students differently. The fact is that there were all online schools before the pandemic, and there were students that were doing just fine. cat. Um, it's also true that some students can't deal with it. It is also true that the way in which some schools are implementing their online education is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And so it doesn't surprise me that their students are having trouble. We also need to understand with all of this talk about how like, oh, online education is so terrible, blah, blah, blah. Well, we're also dealing with a pandemic. It is highly stressful. Parents are dealing with a lot. It's making it hard for them to deal with their kids. And you know what, I'm just gonna put them on like auto roam. Oh, dude, they went in the boat. Wow. Okay, that's not what I thought was gonna happen. Where are my scouts? And so I think it's a really unfair comparison of what online learning can or cannot do given all of the extra issues that are happening with the pandemic also.
So teach us to number our days, so that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom.
So, I mean, for example, this class, I have been teaching it on Twitch since before the pandemic. This class has been online for a while. Do I think UW students should have to pay as much as usual for all online education? Yeah, actually, I do. When it comes to just straight tuition, because, or if not as much, almost as much, because the fact of the matter is there is still a lot of technology that's going into me being able to broadcast this. There is a lot of time and work on the back end that y'all don't see but is still happening, right? It is actually more work for me. It takes more hours for me to teach an online class than it does to teach an in-person class. Now that being said, the reason I would say maybe a little less, but close to, is that you don't have to pay then, for example, the buildings, heating, those types of things, right? Some students you talk to are worried that we look down upon when we go to apply for jobs since we are degree during the pandemic period because it is only a fraction or more or less projected, so there could be a major bias. I mean, if there's a major bias, hold on, I'm not shaking my head because that's an illegitimate worry. I'm shaking my head because if somebody is biased against you because you got your degree during the pandemic, then that person is not smart enough to be your boss. That's what I would say. That's my 2 cents. Because the fact of the matter is, like I said, so I've been teaching this class via Twitch since before the pandemic. And what I have found is the reason I teach this online and have been for some time is because I actually found that for this class, it is... Do I care about that? Or do I maybe want something else? Let's do this. Oh, I need archery. Whatever. And I've actually found that engagement is higher, and students learn more, and that this is more effective than when I taught this in person in a big lecture lab. Now, am I saying all education is better online? No, I'm saying this class in particular is, because actually the worst way that you could learn is sitting in a 200-person lecture hall with me talking at you at the front of the class, which is how this class was taught before. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you're gonna be fine, because the entire world uh, is going through the pandemic. So if they're gonna be biased, someone's gonna be biased at you about doing anything during the pandemic. I mean, I would also turn around and say, oh yeah, and WTF were you doing during the pandemic? Okay, so oh, we don't have mining. Yeah, I mean, okay, so here's the other thing to remember. For a lot of jobs, they don't even care what your degree's in. They just want to see
Workers are
that you
defenseless,
were
so
dedicated
use
enough
extreme caution
and smart
when
enough
moving
to
them
finish a
outside
degree.
our borders.
Full stop. And think about it this way. You were so dedicated that you finished a degree during a pandemic. I'd hire you. Okay, so you won't have snow days, but ooh. What am I making right now? Anything? Oh, I'm trying to make a settler. But you might have tech days, right? Like if my internet were to go out or my electricity were to go out, class would be canceled. So I'm not saying people who are complaining about online education are also necessarily wrong. What I'm saying is that, where's my warriors? All right, I really want you guys to go home. Is that a lot of people right now are full scale saying, oh, online education is bad, and then they're ignoring the things that make it bad or that are making it a struggle for their kids currently. Because they want to complain. without actually thinking about what they're complaining about. Nobody's looking at the actual data. I'm literally writing an article on this right now because I feel very passionate about it. Online education was a big industry before the pandemic. And again, this isn't actually about is it good or bad, because it can be good, it can be bad, and it really depends. It depends on the student, it depends on the teacher, it depends on the class. Some subjects are better or worse for online. So, for example, as much as I love teaching this class online, and I'm going to keep it online forever, I also used to teach an analog game design class, and then I had to move that online, and it's fine for during the pandemic, but once the pandemic's over, I'm coming back to campus to teach that class. All right, where did my warriors go? I want you to stop going on autopilot, and I'm not sure how to do that. I mean, that's another point too. Press the gear on the warriors. Left side. This? Ooh, thank you. Yeah, because I need these guys to come back and protect my city and stuff. So Taco Cat, if that's actually happening, you should talk to your advisor about it because that is not allowed. The amount of work that I personally have given is exactly the same. You can ask the TAs. All I did was change the dates. Some of the readings and whatnot, right? But quantity-wise, it's the same, as it should be. Professor Gamera has been the goat of online classes. I mean, Top is literally streaming to us on Twitch while teaching. It's amazing. Aww. Thank you. However, yeah, so first of all, I think it's hilarious that you said has been the goat, since I use the goat as a symbol for some of my online presences. So let me tell you this, largely 51. It's not just you, it's not just professors, it's a lot of people. A lot of people that I've been talking to, their bosses are giving them more work because they also think that they're poofing more time out of thin air. I've been hearing people talk about these ideas of, oh, what to do all this free time, what are your COVID projects, blah, blah, blah. And I don't understand it at all. Like every time somebody is like, yeah, you could be doing all these extra things because you have so much time on your hands. I'm like, what extra time? I mean, like I said, it actually takes me more time to teach an online class than it does um, an in-person class. Is Football Manager 2000 a historical game nowadays? I don't know anything about sports stuff. I don't play sports games at all. They are not my cup of tea. COVID project of trying not to get sick and not die of stress. That sounds like an excellent COVID project. I don't think you need more than that. Does Civ 5 count as an educational game? People definitely can learn something from playing this game, but depend on their ages or experience. So I would not call this an educational game. I would call this a borderline game because it is. It uses enough historical fact that you can say it's an educational game, but I also feel like there's just enough but it's also like a commercial game,
The
really.
haft of the arrow had been feathered.
Right, so it's kind of borderline there. I don't know. That's what I think. Oh, God. So Taylor, to answer your question about the the journal documents, so in general, you should talk to your TA about what you should be turning in. However, I will say this: your journal is about note keeping and data collection, so that you can. Why do you need orders? So you have that data to write your final paper, right? So the journal, even though you do have to turn it in for credit, because if I don't give you credit, you won't do it, you really should think about it as being for you. And if having separate entries works for you, then
You can found a new city with your settler.
do you?
Move your settler to a fertile location and found a new city.
When I do journals for data collection, because I also do that, I prefer to have it be one document because that is easier for me to work with. However, whether you do it as separate or one, you got to make sure that's real clear, right? You got to be real clear about like the date, the time range, everything, so that your TA knows what they're looking at. All right, so I could. I kind of like being on the river, but I think I'm going to be on the coast. This is kind of close to Lhasa, but that's fine. We're just going to do it. There's like nowhere I can build right now. What is happening? I'm going to just put them up to pasture up here. Yep, I'm trying to tell you to go up there. Yes, we are done for today. Thank you for letting me know that it's 3:47. Like I said, me and Civilization, I sometimes get real into it. And so, yeah, there it is. I am going to... I'm gonna hang out for a little while and play because I feel like it. But class is over. You can leave. I'll continue to answer questions or chat if people want to, but also you can leave. Class is over. Donia asks, when you were teaching this class in person, did you also play games to explain concepts in front of the class, or was it more on explaining and discussing the readings? So I didn't play games in front of the class because I think it would have been harder to do, and also a lot of the games that I play wouldn't work on my laptop, which is what I would have had to use. Is that a word? Yes. But I would sometimes do sometimes I would just talk and explain readings. Sometimes I would do little, I would pose a discussion question and make you talk to your neighbor. And the other thing I did was show Let's Plays. And then we would discuss the Let's Play during class. So Little White, there's many ways in which that can be overcome. Like, for example, a Discord server. It's not necessarily in real time, but honestly, you literally have more access to me now with the Discord server than my students did when I was teaching in person.
Your settler is alone outside your borders and could be captured.
Shit. But again, this is all predicated on a professor or a boss or anybody else knowing how to effectively use the online tools. This worker needs to back up.
Wisdom and virtue.
So now what I really need is mining. Yep. Did you ever play the OG PS2 Harry Potter games? No, I didn't. Are they good? The only Harry Potter games I've played are the Lego Harry Potter games. Yeah, do it. Settle. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I wanted to check out Lhasa. If they're doing anything interesting. How is my queue out? Oh, because it's a new city. Yes. Oh god. Oh, I'm dead. first things first. Let's get these guys down here. The most literate people. Me.
The meek shall inherit the earth, but not its mineral rights.
I haven't had access to a PS2 in a long time. I never owned one personally, but lived with people who owned them. Um, but I do have a PS4 in the house right now. That's my thing. Do it. Hit. Fire.
I have some information that may be of use.
So the interesting thing when they have found the Pantheon and a lot of other places in Civ is actually it matters what your environment is, which is a really good mechanic in my opinion, because different peoples, like groups of people, built or didn't build or invented or didn't invent things a lot of times based on their environments because it was what they needed. So let's see. I have a lot of... don't have a lot of tundra. Like there is down here, but I'm not really all up in there. What's my population? I don't even know. Let's do fishing boats because we are on an island. Oh, yeah, I understand. Oof. I need to be better fortified. I'm not doing great here. Okie dokie.
Here Hector entered, with a spear 11 cubits long in his hand, the bronze point. Oof, can I not shoot them? They need to go.
That's not good. How's my road going? Oh, look at that road. It's pretty. Oh wow, I just finished a shrine. Great. And a granary. That's good. I need to make some more. Nice. That might not be bad. Is this considered an extra rare? I guess yes. Wow. Wow. That guy is looking rough.
You now have a ranged unit.
Oh, yeah, you dude. You should probably just rest up.
Our treasury has grown, and we have money to spend. You can spend money in a number of ways.
Oh, it looks like now that class is over, the cat might come back. Hey baby, coming up here. Class is over though. Oh, are you not coming up? Where'd you go? Hey. Ugh. Look, we're playing Civ. You wanted me to buy tiles before. Wow, why are so many of you still here? I'm actually surprised. Not complaining, mind you. Just slightly surprised that people are still hanging out. But the cat came back, since she's here. And then she immediately walks back out. Alright. I want to. Oh, can I not? Oh, I need to get that other kind of boat, don't I? In order to fish. The tier. Whatever they're called. Cat is so super needy right now. So can I not? Oh, because I don't have this. I haven't bought this tile. That's the problem. Okay. So first of all, let's buy a tile. Like this one. You done? Okay. Do I need to buy the fish tile? Bless you.
Here is something that may be helpful.
We're allies. Ah, Celtic Warrior. I was going to send them down here for a little protection. But maybe that's not actually necessary. Achievement unlocked! Say hello to my little friend. Alright, Dublin. Golden Age. Yay. What are these things? They look like little foxes. Hmm. Pictus Warrior. Woo! Oh, Chariot Archer.
Do not wait to strike till the iron is hot, but make it hot.
You can't see me live. That's weird. My computer tells me I'm streaming. Try refreshing your page. That happens a lot. I have almost no happiness. How can I deal with this? I don't know. Oh, I need luxury sources. Fine. What's our influence right now? Alright. Oh, yes, do this. And that's when I forgot that I had it set to screen and not game. Not that it matters. Alright, hold on, actually. Can I just buy tiles to go all the way over here? Does it work that way? Oof, gets pricey. Oh, Stonehenge!
Everything grows old and is forgotten under the power of time.
Hey. What did I just build there? I don't even know what that is. Did I just build a mine or something? I don't know. I kind of want one. Oh, plantation. That's what that was. Yes. Yeah, cool. Okay, well, you know what?
There is
Ooh,
only
that's
one
philosophy.
good, knowledge.
Uh,
And one
Actually, I'm gonna call it, because as much as I could sit here and play this game until morning, I actually do have work I need to do. I really need to not be playing this right now. So let's save this. It was fun. I just saved it. I don't need to save it again. Yeah, so that's it. I'll see you all next week. Bye.